Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect, episode 231. We are recording this on Sunday, November 5th, 2017. I'm David Lott. Joining me this week is Bobby Jackson.
What's up, everybody?
And Michelle Hillard.
Hey everyone, hello.
Unfortunately, Yasha will not be joining us this evening. Which is really, it's always a bummer when no one can make it. Someone can't make it, but man, I was really curious to hear what he thought of Thor.
No, I know, dude.
It's kind of a bummer.
It is a bummer. We're gonna have to bug him for next week. Pretty hard.
No, yeah, he assures me he will be here next week. So
Cool.
we will find out all of his thoughts then.
Dude, I want to know.
He'll probably write a review before then for the site. So
He's been really good about that lately too.
Yeah. So check out flickereffect.com. They'll probably have a review up. I haven't talked to him about that yet, but I wouldn't be surprised.
He probably has it written up, honestly.
Probably.
We just haven't posted it.
I hope he's seen the movie.
Right?
I know. I was gonna say, like, I feel like
He's a busy guy right now, so I wouldn't be
I
surprised.
know he's really busy, but he was excited for Thor.
Yeah,
We all are stupid excited for Thor.
So yeah, well, we missed last week, unfortunately. Sorry, everybody.
Happy belated Halloween, everyone.
Happy belated Halloween. So we've got some catching up to do, but which means basically we have two main topics today. Two things to talk about for the most part, and maybe if we, sprinkle some other stuff in there, fine. But
I mean, the two things we have are huge.
Yeah.
This is
we've only got so much time
I
here.
was gonna say, like, I would love to talk about more things, but I just don't think that's gonna happen.
No, probably not. And yeah, unfortunately, there will be no I Challenge You today. You know what's funny is not only we don't have time for an I Challenge You, but Michelle, you challenged me to watch something. I still don't even remember what the fuck the movie was. like you challenged me for the most obscure fucking French horror film. Yeah. How did you even pick it? I don't even remember. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to the show.
Okay, I chose the film because I did a search to find the top horror films of the last 10 years, right? Because I was trying to give you something fairly recent. And I was trying to find something that you haven't seen because you're a big horror guy and you see a lot. And even Bobby, at the time, I honestly didn't know who the hell was going to challenge. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to challenge Bobby or Yasha. No, I wasn't going to challenge Yasha because Yasha challenged me. So it was either Bobby or David. So I was like, I'm trying to find something. And I know the two of you both go see horror movies and you're really good about those. So I was kind of like, crap, I really don't know what I can do here. So I'm going down this top list, and it was number 3 on this top list of the last 10 years of horror films. And I'm reading the description. I'm like, damn, that sounds good. And I mean, I fully admit, I feel like an I Challenge You should be something that, say, the person challenging has seen. And I will fully admit, I have not seen this. But I haven't seen so many horror films, and you guys have. So I almost felt like anything I have seen, you've definitely seen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm reading the description of this horror film, and I'm like, this sounds amazing. In a good way, not in an amazing,
Right.
It's so horrifically bad, we're going to laugh at it and, Mystery Science Theater 3000 it. It sounds like it's actually a really excellent horror film. And then, as you go on, it's oh, it's in French. And it's got subtitles. I was like, this is happening. This is right up David's alley. It's a good horror film, and it's got subtitles.
Well, anyway, I'm gonna have to go. You don't even remember the movie that you challenged me to watch. I don't remember. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to the end of that episode.
I'm Googling it right now. I'm Googling it.
Yeah, if you come up with it before the end, then I won't have to go back to do that because I don't remember what it was. But I will watch it this week before our next episode. That will happen. We'll be back on track here. Anyway,
I'm getting it.
So I Challenge You this week is the moral of the story. But yeah, we've got a couple big things to talk about, and let's jump right into the first one. Last weekend. Oh, do you have
I have it.
What is it?
It's called Inside.
Okay.
It's from 2007. It's a slasher thriller. It's 125 minutes long. Yeah. As soon as I read the description. Yeah, as soon as I read the description, I was like, there it is, right there.
Okay.
Yeah. Inside.
I don't want anybody writing in going, David, you watched the wrong film.
No, it's called Inside.
Okay.
Oh, it takes place on Christmas Eve. Oh, look, we have a little melding of Halloween and Christmas.
Aww, look at you.
Hey.
You made that happen on purpose.
Yeah, Inside, French film, horror film. Love it. Let's do this.
All right, so last weekend, as I was saying, We had a little Netflix show drop on the 27th on Friday called Stranger Things 2. And it's been a week. We haven't had a chance to talk about this, so I just want to get right into it. Michelle, both you and I watched it all on Friday.
We had an awesome Benji stay-at-home, like, breakfast, and then we had crock pot for lunch. Like, we planned the day out, dude. Like, we knew this was happening, and it was awesome.
Yeah, it was good. It's funny the way the day started off and the way it was like, okay, kind of, starting these episodes, having to stop it here and there because of what have you. And I was like, oh man, we're not going to finish this today. And we finished it in one day. It was after midnight when we finished it, but not much after.
Not much after 12:30. Midnight.
It's 9 episodes. I thought we did pretty good.
I think we did good considering you have 2 kids under the age of 5.
And we had to take that break. Once the kids got off school, we stopped watching. Yeah. And then pick it back up until the kids went to bed.
We had that Starbucks break too.
Oh, well, the zombie frappuccino.
Yes, Bobby, did you have the zombie frappuccino from Starbucks?
This is the first I'm hearing of it. I don't really frequent Starbucks enough to know about that kind of thing. What was it? What was in it?
It was like an caramel
apple and something else in it. And it was just a special that Starbucks was running between, like,
they don't
basically.
Have it anymore?
No,
yeah, it was basically like
thing,
October, like 29th. It actually started that day. Or the day
27th.
Before.
It was the day before, yeah. The 26th.
It started the day the 26th, and it was running until November 1st. It was just this like fun, weird little thing. It looked really cool. It was very Halloweeny. It did like
if the barista did it right, the whipped cream on the top was supposed to look like brains.
It kind of did.
Kind of did because it was pink.
Yeah, so it was pink whipped cream, so it looked like brains. So they called it the zombie. It was good. It was, like for something that's basically pure sugar.
Oh, yeah, it was pure sugar. It was all right.
Bad. I mean, I wasn't using
Honestly,
it as
I think I'd go for that. What was it called? The unicorn one?
Yes, the unicorn one. The one they had a few months ago in the summer.
Yeah.
So this zombie, is it something that you could still order because they have all the ingredients?
I don't know.
No, it was until supplies lasted. And it said basically until supplies lasted and or November 1st. So basically it's done.
It's done.
Anyways, we did really good with Stranger Things. We knocked it out in a day. Even having a Starbucks run in the middle of the day and then, kids home from school, making sure they had dinners and baths and bedtimes and storybooks and all that other stuff. We still knocked it out. We did really good.
Bobby, how quickly did you watch it?
It took me a couple days. I actually, I think I didn't get a chance to start it until Saturday, and I finished it on that Sunday.
Okay.
Dude, I think I owe you $5.
Oh, me $5?
Yeah.
Why did you bet that I would have finished it all in one day?
Yeah, we figured. I mean, it was pretty much like solid that you were going to finish that bad boy in a day. And David was like, I don't know. Bobby's kind of a busy guy. And I'm like, I don't know. Bobby's pretty on it with this.
Well, if we did make that bet, which is funny, I don't even remember this. I probably said that just because I knew Bobby. At the time, Bobby, you had told me you probably weren't going to start until Friday night. It sounds like you didn't even start till Saturday. But yeah. At the time, even thinking, he's not starting until Friday night. He's going to take a couple days to do this. He's not going to stay up overnight and watch it.
No. Which Bobby's done crazy things before. Sadly, Bobby, I love you. I wouldn't put it past you. You do crazy stuff like that. Like there's times you've blown me out of the water with stuff. I'm like, man, that's commitment.
It's all random, It really does depend upon if I have anything else going on, and if I don't, then I'll do something crazy. But other than that, if there's something that I have to do, then I have to kind of tailor my time around it. So this was one of those instances where I did have to kind of break it up into 2 nights. But I think it almost worked a little bit better for me that way, to be honest. I think so.
All right. Well, who gets to share their thoughts on this season first? I guess it kind of works out that Yasha's not here because he hasn't finished the season yet. I know that. But
blasphemous.
No. But with that said, we're probably not going to talk about spoilers here.
No,
I definitely don't want to talk about spoilers in the middle of an episode. So if anything, if we really feel the need to talk about Stranger Things spoilers, maybe we'll tag it on to the end. But,
the thing is with the shows like this on Netflix, like I always feel bad talking spoilers in the first month of its release.
Well, I mean, we can talk about spoilers as long as people are warned, and I mean, we're going to do that with Thor. So.
Oh hell yeah!
All right, so I get to go first. I never pick my name first. It's weird.
Oh, it's so awkward.
Let's just take a picture. So Stranger Things 2.
Hold on, just my seat for this. Because I don't know your thoughts on this.
We haven't talked about it, have we?
No, we've not.
Oh.
That's crazy to me that you guys were able to sit there for a whole bit of a show, 9 episodes,
We sat. I
not
sat next.
discuss it.
one way or the other how the other's thinking.
I sat next to him all fucking day long.
That's so crazy.
And like there wasn't even a head nod exchanged as far as like moments in time. I think the only thing I did was like called a certain death ahead of time, and that was about it. Otherwise, there was zero discussion about this. Even during the Starbucks run, no discussion in the car.
Nothing. So Stranger Things 2, a little bit of backstory. I mean, Stranger Things, I loved that first season. And I think I loved it just as much as everybody else. I've really got nothing to add there. I just kind of wanted to say that. I mean, that's where I come into the second season from. But anyway, the second season, 9 episodes. I watched that first season. I hadn't heard anything in terms of like reviews, anything when we watched it. I think, Michelle, you hinted that you had read something.
Yes.
But I was like, don't tell me. I don't want to know. I just want to watch this season and just do my thing. And I kind of came to a conclusion afterwards. I have since read some stuff. But, I mean, the conclusion I came to right after I watched it and the way I still feel is that overall I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the season. Is it as good as the first season? No, it's not. But it still did everything I kind of was hoping for it to do, I guess. And I still enjoyed all the nostalgia, and I enjoyed these characters, and I enjoyed the new characters. The new girl that's added to the cast I thought was fine. I don't think she was anything spectacular, but I enjoyed her character, and I enjoyed the way.
Do you mean the one that plays Max, or
Max,
the other? Okay.
You talking about the sister?
Yeah.
Yeah, the sister seems to be like a standout. Everyone loves her thing, and she is great. Like, what's his name? Dustin?
Oh, the guy, the brother of Max. Max's.
No, the brother of the. Oh, I'm sorry, the black kid. What's his name? Why are you looking at me like I'm an alien?
Why are we? We're slacking here. Hold on. We do have technology here.
Yeah, I could look this up. But anyway, his sister, who has some really great scenes in this.
Oh, the little sister.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
She's great.
Yes.
Sorry. I thought that's who you were trying to ask about, but no,
Max.
I
was talking about the other sister, Eleven's sister.
Lucas.
Oh, well, talking about spoilers here.
Lucas is his name.
I don't know. I didn't know that going into this season. So anyway, that's yes. Thank you, Bobby.
It's funny because I didn't remember his name either offhand. I don't really see. It doesn't feel like they use his name a lot.
I feel like they don't use his name. I don't feel like they use his name a lot.
Characters call him. Yeah, they don't really call him by name.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, I think because they're just all kind of together, so they always are looking at each other when they're talking. Like it's not like if I was sitting across David, I'd be like, David. Like I'd be looking at you, going, "Hey," and we would just talk. Like, anyways.
Exactly.
Anywho,
and I fully admit, when it comes to shows like this, like I'm terrible with character names a lot of times. Like it's just like you said, they're not even using each other's names a lot. So anyway,
so you liked Max, the actress who plays.
Yeah,
Max.
I thought Max was good. I'm just trying to think of the additions. Man, I'm terrible right now. But Sean Astin, who was added to this season, Bob Newby.
Yes,
I liked his character. I thought that was an interesting kind of dynamic between him and Winona Ryder's character, and overall I liked the season. I thought the season the ending of it was a little weak. I thought one episode in particular, episode 7, was pretty bad. I was not a fan of episode 7 at all. And
oh my god, really?
Yeah, no. When episode 7, that's all I'll say because we're not talking spoilers here. Like we were 15 minutes in, and I'm like, I could tell that was basically going to be a standalone kind of this is all we're doing in this episode. And I was like, I'm ready for this.
You know what
to be
though?
over.
I've read you're not the only person. You're totally not the only person. Apparently, that's actually everybody's consensus, except for apparently mine. You were not alone in that.
I mean, I'm not going to say the episode was just terrible overall. It's just in the scheme of this season, I did not enjoy that episode. I was ready for it to end. I was ready to go back to everything else we were doing. I didn't care about that. And
I read a really great article online about that episode specifically and what the whole point of it was and yada, 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 and links and yada, yada, yada.
right.
If I can find it, I think we should put it up there because it explains a lot in a way. And it might not change your mind at all. I don't think it's going to change your mind. But I'm saying is not. That it's an interesting article because you're super not in the minority on that. Like, apparently a lot of people did not like episode 7.
No, and I have read that since. I mean, I felt that way as I was watching it. I just was like, oh God, this is what we're going to do here. We're basically going to kind of jet off and have this for a whole episode. And I know I wasn't a fan. And yeah, since I've watched it and I have kind of looked into some other opinions out there on the internet, I have seen that as well. And no, I was not a fan of that. I felt like that episode didn't need to exist.
You're not alone.
And there was kind of basically that episode, all I'll say is what leads to that episode is teased right at the beginning of the show. And it kind of felt like, especially because of the way it's teased right at the beginning of the season, that was going to be more important than I felt like it really was in the end. Like, I almost felt like when the show ended in the last episode that there was going to be some type of tie-in to that, and there wasn't. And I'm just like, I don't know. In the end, when the season was over, I was like, there's something about that plot line that just, I don't know, it didn't really do anything for me. So,
I mean, I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
I think it's just that episode 7 was character development on 11.
It was, but
I agree. I thought that come episode 9, the last episode, there was going to be a tie-in of some type. They were going to pull it together. And when it didn't, I was disappointed. Yeah. I was like, wow, that just kind of fell flat. But whatever.
Anyway. Overall, though, I enjoyed it. I have felt like I've read some pretty negative stuff about season 2 since I've watched it. And I don't know. So I'm starting to get the impression I enjoyed it more than most people. But I'm not saying it's great. I mean, I'm not saying it's as good as the first season. I'm still admitting the first season is better. But I also think that the first season has a lot going for it in that it's the first season of this, and it's so like that really fresh nostalgia of like, oh my God, this is in the 80s and all these references, and this is so cool, and it was so new, and it's hard to repeat that. Like we already exist in this world. We already know what's up. So you're not going to get all those feelings again. I mean, sure, there's new things that they bring up that we're still like, oh yeah, Dragon Slayer and all this other stuff. That's great. But it's not new now. So it's not going to give you the same feelings that the first season did. But overall, I think it's good. I'm looking forward to season 3. But yeah, I fully admit it's not as good as first season.
Was there a standout moment for you at any point in time? Did you go, oh my God, this is the funniest thing, or oh, this is the best thing, or oh, this ties in so well, or oh my gosh, this really makes me feel this way, or was there anything, any point in time that you were like, that would make you feel an emotion strongly in any direction, or make you think, oh, this is probably the best part of this entire series, of this, or maybe, I should say,
maybe
of
as
the
you guys talk, I'll think about that and come back, because like off the top of my head, nothing is jumping out.
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, I'm just saying nothing. As you asked that question, there's nothing that's immediately jumping out at me like, oh yeah, this was so great. Like, there's really not. So I'll think about it. But anyway, that's my basic thoughts. And with that, Bobby, what did you think of Stranger Things 2?
So yeah, I guess going into the same direction that you did, starting off with the first season, I remember watching that day one because like Michelle mentioned earlier, I usually am on top of a lot of those types of things. And it just seemed something that was like, it was something interesting, and being able to get into that first season, a lot of what you said rings true where, David, where you were saying that it pulls you in because a lot of the nostalgia, especially if you grew up during that time, and you can recognize a lot of the clothing, the atmosphere of the mood of that time, and also just the references and the music. So it all brings it together in a really authentic way while telling this story about this monster, this demon, this upside down place. And like everyone else, I fell in love with the series and with the cast of characters that you meet. So coming into the second season, my expectations were pretty high, especially after we went to Comic-Con and we got to see the trailer for season 2. And that just really got me amped up for this season. So I'd say overall, once I actually finished the whole series of this season 2, I enjoyed it. I'm on the same page as you. I have problems with it, but overall, I still love seeing these characters again and seeing the environment. And really, honestly, I like the character so much that you could have taken out the whole aspect of the monsters and the upside down, and I would have enjoyed just a series and a season of them just being kids and just having regular stuff to do, because they're just that compelling and their chemistry is just so good. And I think this season is weird because I typically, well, last season I didn't have an issue with Winona Ryder because everybody kept saying how annoying she was or whatever. But it's odd because this season I felt she was kind of more annoying to me. And last season I didn't have a problem with her, but this season, for some reason, I just was like, oh, so that's what everybody's talking about. But it really stuck out to me this season. But the only issues I really have with this season were some of the character choices that I thought were made throughout the season, in terms of once you get to know those characters in the first season and their motivations, you're thinking, okay, so I've established what these guys are like and what they will do. And then when you come into this second season and there's some things that happen and characters make certain choices, you're like, really? Why would they do that? And is it just to serve the story, or is it something the character would actually do? And
right.
So that kind of threw me. I didn't really have a problem with them splitting up the group per se. It'd be for them to go off and do their own things and then kind of like, see them at some other point. But I can see where other people may have had issues with that. Yeah. And it was different because you do like seeing them all together. That's the fun of the show. But, just to sort of mix it up, I can see where they would try and do something a little bit different. But I think, as you said, David, the ending was weak in comparison to the first season. But you're getting a season 3, so I kind of excuse it a little bit. I wasn't looking for anything in particular with the ending, so I guess that kind of makes me forgive it a little bit in terms of how it did end. But overall, I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to season 3 whenever it happens.
Before you go, Michelle, I guess to kind of answer your question, or a couple things I've forgotten, I will say, one character I forgot to mention, what is he, a reporter, like the kind of conspiracy theory guy?
Yeah. The one that Jonathan and Nancy go see.
Yeah, I really like that character a lot. And that dynamic once they were with him at his place, and he's obviously kind of nudging them because he knows they're obviously into each other, but they're not admitting it.
Right.
That I like that whole dynamic. That was
a good episode. That was a good episode.
Anyway,
I agree.
Anyway, I just thought of that while we were.
No. I mean, I'm curious, Bobby. I'll ask you that same question. Was there any moment that was really strong with you in any kind of an emotional direction? Like, was there anything that you're like, oh my God, that is the funniest damn thing ever? Or like, holy cow, I didn't see that coming? Or, oh my gosh, this is such a good character. Like anything that gave you a strong, like, this is my moment right here that's going to be my standout moment this entire second season?
Well,
without any major spoilers, I guess. I realize I'm asking this question. It's very difficult without major spoilers.
Yeah, I'll be very vague. I'll be specific sort of on one and vague on another. The specific one that I really liked was Halloween night and just seeing the kids trick-or-treating.
Yes.
Because that reminded me of just how it was. And I can't tell you how many people I talked to this year after Halloween was over, and they were talking about how many kids visited their house. And they were like, we had like maybe 5 or 6 kids. I'm like, what? How is that? And multiple people told me this. I'm like, how is that a thing? Like, when I was a kid,
man, things have changed.
So different. It's amazing.
So
our childhoods are it's so, I mean, it is night and day. Like, when I think about like like I would eventually when we would come back home, eventually with whatever parent stayed home or best friends that my parents let stay at our house to like do the door thing, like when I compare that to like what me and my friends do, it is just insane. Like it's insane because like I remember like I would come home from trick or treating and we'd be, you know, my whoever took us out the opposite, you know, stayed home and did that candy, and or there's literally was times, I'm not even joking, my parents had their best friends come over. They're like, you're doing candy at my house, have a good night, I'm taking the kids out. And we come up and I'm talking bags, not a bag of candy, bags upon bags of candy. My parents, we would run out of candy and my mother would have bought bags. Like literally over 100+ children would come to my house when I was a kid. And now it's like, oh, if you get over 5, it's insane. Like
it's so weird.
It's so foreign to me. Like it's so bizarre to think about that. Like it's amazing the difference between the 80s and the 90s to now. Like it's absolutely 180 almost. It's weird.
Yeah, and that's why I think I responded to that, seeing them out and seeing what it was like when I was a kid and going out trick-or-treating and seeing that there was lots of kids out there and just that fun spirit of Halloween and them enjoying it, knowing it's like, I think it was Mike who had mentioned it's like the best day of the year. And it's when you're a kid, it's other than Christmas because you're getting all this candy.
Did it warm your heart with nostalgia, Bobby?
It very much did. That was my nostalgia moment of the season. And my other thing that I was going to mention, which I'm going to be vague on, is there's certain moments with 11 and there's interactions with certain characters that really were like powerful, tug at the heartstrings moments. And so those were some of my other favorites.
It is interesting how I felt like overall in the season, Mike's character, who was kind of like the focus of that first season, or Mike was the character. Really feels like he takes a big backseat in this season, and I feel like he's barely there a lot of times. I'm like, oh wow, it's weird how I kind of expected him to still be in the forefront here, and he wasn't.
Right.
Anyway, Michelle.
I mean, on that note, I'll jump into my thing, and I'll just respond to that with, I'll be honest, like even though the character of Mike took up kind of a backseat a little bit this season. I'm super okay with it.
And I'm not saying I'm not okay with it. I thought that was an interesting move, I guess, because I didn't expect it.
No,
it was like almost halfway through the season when I was like, I almost had to like remind myself. I was like, oh yeah, like he's really not the kind of forefront character he was in that first season.
I'm happy for it, honestly. Like, I'm not saying you're not happy. I'm just simply saying like it. In a way, it made me happy to see that they were focusing on some of the other kids and their stories, and even some deeper subplots. You know, like as silly as it is, you know, the kids are dressed up for Halloween, and Lucas, you know, the African American kid, is like, I don't understand why I can't be the white dude.
Right.
And it was a thing, and I'm like, I'm glad that like they got kind of into this a little bit. Like it was nice to see the characters bringing up kind of deeper things and going into, say, Lucas's story. Like Lucas has a little sister who was fucking adorable.
Yeah, she's amazing.
So cute. Just wanted to eat her alive. Sassy little thing. God love her with her syrup. And so, you know, Lucas has a little sister, and then we really kind of got into Dustin a little bit more. You know, it was just kind of nice to see it wasn't just Mike and Will. It was, they really got into Lucas, and they got into Dustin a little more. And it was kind of enjoyable. For me, the second season as a whole, I agree, it does not measure up to season 1. And at the same time, I still had a lot of fun with this season. I really enjoyed it, honestly. Like, from beginning to end, my issues are very nitpicky issues. And there's so many, my issues are mostly spoilery issues, so I really can't even talk that much about it. But I'm really happy with a lot of stuff that happened on there. Again, like I like the character development of Dustin and Lucas. There's times I wanted to smack Dustin around and go, I swear to God, you act like you're smarter than this most of the time. And your attachment to the situation you have right now is making me want to kick your butt. You sweet, adorable little stupid boy. You should see further than this. Anyways. And I can't really talk about it because it's a whole big spoiler. But yes. So, yeah, you know, like I thought the kids, it was just good to see them all back together. And I like the addition of the character of Max, played by Sadie Sink. I thought that girl did a really great job of conveying her kind of being the newbie person to the group and trying to understand what was going on. And I think she kind of gave a realistic portrayal. Like, I think you guys are full of shit. And then it's like, oh no, you're super not. Like, I feel like anybody who was thrown into this would be like, these crazy boys in the new place I moved to are crazy, but they're the only ones that are talking to me. So I'll keep hanging out with them, and I guess I'll play along in their game. And then she realizes, oh, it's not a game. And I think she did a really good job. Like, it was really good. And she has a lot of dynamic going on with her brother, played by Decree Montague. And I don't think I said his name right. Decree Montgomery. And he's a whole nother mess of testosterone on its own. But I thought... what were you going to say?
No, I was thinking... I saw his name too, and I was like looking at his name, thinking how you might say it. And I think... And I have no frame of reference here, so I could be completely wrong, but I think it might be Daiquiri.
Oh, I think you're right. It is Daiquiri. Yeah,
I could be
Daiquiri
wrong.
Montgomery.
I know he was in the Power
Whatever.
Rangers
He's from
also.
the UK, right? Australia. He's Australian. They do crazy things down under. Who knows?
His mother is Canadian. His father is a New Zealander.
He was the Power Ranger.
Yeah.
Red Power Ranger.
He was red or blue? I don't know. But yeah,
he was a red Power Ranger.
I think he was red.
Go Power. In the new Power Rangers,
right.
I mean.
We're talking new here.
The new movie that came out that we all were shockingly amazed by.
Oh my God, I'm so old.
Shut up. Don't look at the birthdays. Stop looking at the birthdays.
Please just scaled me.
Stop looking at the birthdays. It will not make you a happy person. You have to not look at their date of birth.
Okay, I was born 2 years before I graduated high school.
Shit. You have no idea what it's like for me to be a female attracted to somebody who was basically born when I was in high school. It's awkward. Anyways.
Yeah, at least you're being honest.
So anyways, my point is those two characters being added into the mix, I really enjoyed. I, with you, also like the reporter that was mixed in. And I think Sean Astin's character, while in a way you can almost say he was a pushover side character, I think it was a really good character to add into the mix, because without his dynamic this season, it wouldn't have caused two events to occur. And again, I can't really talk about that. But if it hadn't been for him, two major events that basically catapult the whole situation that happens in this season wouldn't have happened. It had it not been for the assistance of Sean Astin's character of Bob. So... And I thought it was good. Like, it was, and again, with all the 80s references. Oh my God, there are so many 80s references. I love it and hate it all at the same time, but I love it for the most part.
Hate it?
Hate it because it makes me feel really old.
Oh, okay.
But love it because it's like, like there's the Goonie references that get slid in there. And I'm like, oh my God, there's Goonie references. Oh my God. It's all just, it just makes me get all really like that high pitched.
Yeah, that was some octaves right there.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Like, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. This show, for all the crazy dynamics, I really enjoy. I think it's a lot of fun. There's a couple of scenes with, Sheriff Hopper, with Jim Hopper. Oh, it makes my little heart melt. My little black cold heart just gets all warm, and it almost grows 2 sizes because it's just so cute, because he's just such a, tough dude, but he's really not a tough dude. He's a big marshmallow on the inside, and he shows that, and I love it so much. It's so good. But no, like, overall, I'm happy with the season. I feel like, yes, it could have definitely ended much stronger than it did. But I feel like with this season, they were really working on a ton of character development for almost every single character that was happening. Even with the older kids, with Nancy and Jonathan and I can't remember the other guys, Steve. Even with the 3 older ones, there was a lot of character development within them. And it was just kind of good to see the building of that. And I think come season 3... I don't know. I feel like season 3 they'll be able to really kind of jump into a lot of heavy stuff, because they've all been through this one, and this was really traumatic. I would say this one was probably In a lot of ways, there's a lot more physical stuff happening to them. And they physically went through a few more things throughout the season, whereas I felt like in the first season, a lot happened right at the very end. And this was kind of like, wow, we're running from things. We're literally running from things at points in this one. Like, it was very physical in a way, and I liked that. It was really kind of creepy. So, I don't know. I mean, yeah, as a whole, I would say I'm very happy with the season. I do have my issues. Again, I can't really talk a lot. My issues they're spoilery. They're all very spoilery. Again, I gotta admit that I think Millie Bobby Brown stole the show again. She's amazing as 11. I don't know what it is. It's her dynamic. It's her composure for so many things in her face. I don't know how this little girl can act the way she does. It's absolutely amazing. She just has so much that she delivers through facial expressions and through her eyes, and it's amazing to me to see her do this. And she's such a good little actress. God bless her. She's so young, and it makes me feel so old. But yeah, overall, very happy with it. And if you guys have not watched Stranger Things 2, you gotta watch it, dude. It's just so good. So it's 9 episodes. You can do this. Get on it.
It's nice. I like that. I like that episode. That season length. 8 episodes for the first season, 9 for the season.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good length.
Well, it's like I was saying, I was happy Defenders was shorter than the other Marvel ones.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like it was perfect because the other ones, as much as I love them,
they're all like 13, aren't they?
Yeah, and I love them, but at the same time,
yeah, but that's like
long.
I feel like the typical HBO format of like 10 episode seasons is good.
It really
that's
rounds
a good
it
length.
out. It really rounds it out perfectly. You don't feel like it's dragging on too much.
Yeah.
You know, and again, I'm saying that, and I don't feel like the Daredevils or Jessica Jones really dragged on, but there were definitely times that's like they probably could have chopped off a few things here and there.
Yeah.
But, you know, you watch Defenders, and Defenders, I thought, just from beginning to end, was just solid. So, yeah, to have Stranger Things be 9 episodes, I'm like, this is all you need. This is all you need, dude. 8, 9, or 10 episodes. You tell me the full thing. I get it. This is it. It's all I need. And I'm down with it. Super down with it. So, yeah, that's my thoughts.
What everybody think of Paul Reiser's addition to this?
I liked it, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, eh.
Kind of eh?
I mean, it doesn't, like, do, like, magical things for me.
Cool.
But you know what? I gotta say, I'm with Bobby. The whole Halloween episode when they're out trick-or-treating, oh, it got my heart.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it.
I'm with you guys.
Oh, it stole my heart away. It just made me have all the feels. Got all nostalgic. So
Going
cute,
into
so
the
cute.
season, I guess I almost thought maybe Halloween was going to be later in the season for some reason. Like back when we saw the trailers. And
Yeah,
obviously,
I could see that. I thought it was going to be more mid-season.
I was like, oh, wow, we're doing Halloween right at the beginning. Okay, cool. All right.
I thought it was going to be more like episode 4, episode 5.
Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that too.
Yeah.
But I'm cool with it.
Oh, it's
where it was.
fine.
It's fine.
I'm not complaining. I'm just
No.
random tidbit of thought.
Totally.
Anyway, it seems like we're all kind of on the same page with
Enjoyment,
the
but
second
there's
season.
it's not as great.
It's not as great, but that's not to say it's not good. It's good.
It's
definitely see
super enjoyable,
Yeah.
dude. It's
If you like Stranger Things, then yeah, definitely watch season 2.
oh, for sure.
For sure. All right. Well, moving on to bigger things. We had a little movie come out this weekend called Thor Ragnarok, the latest film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It made a little bit of money.
A smidgen?
A smidgen.
Just a little bit.
121 million domestic.
Just a small piece of the pie.
That makes it the 7th largest opening for a film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh my god.
That's crazy. That's 7th?
Insane. But it's only at 7th. It's 121. Do you know if any other film made 121 out the gate, they would be popping champagne like it was made out of water. Like if you
And
were,
they are.
Oh, for
they
sure
are.
they are.
They definitely are.
But I mean,
That
like-
means it made more than Spider-Man Homecoming did in its opening weekend this year.
Oh my god, it did.
Yeah, Spider-Man
Look at
Homecoming
that.
and pulled in 117. So the list here, really quick, the list goes: number 1 is Marvel's The Avengers. Number 2 was Avengers: Age of Ultron. Number 3 was Civil War. Number 4 was Iron Man 3. God help me. Number 5 was, God help me again, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Number 6 was Iron Man 2. And that puts number 7, Thor Ragnarok.
You know, and here's what it is, and this is why the Iron Mans are up there, is because the first one blew everybody away so much that everybody was like, oh my god, there's gonna be a second Iron Man. And then the second Iron Man was horrific. And then everybody was like, oh, please, dear sweet God, let the third Iron Man do it better justice. Oh.
God, it's hard to remember that the Avengers made 207.
Dude, it was an amazing movie, though.
Jeez. Oh, it was great. I love the Avengers. Wow.
It's pretty remarkable.
And I stand by this because Iron Man, the first film, the first one out the gate, is at number
9.
Number 9. Okay, so it's literally Thor Ragnarok is 7, Spider-Man Homecoming is 8, and original Iron Man is number. I mean, come on, like that's how strong Iron Man was. I mean, for the first one, it's still hanging in there, dude. That film was awesome.
Now Winter Soldier to me, I'm like, oh, look how low it is.
Right.
Anyway, what were you gonna say about it?
No, I was just gonna say, I think I read somewhere also that they said that as of the release or this weekend of Thor Ragnarok, Marvel has made, or the MCU has made $5 billion in all told with all the movies.
I believe that.
I believe that easily. Dang, just to think, because I can't remember the exact number, but I think Disney bought Marvel for like $3 billion. So they've already, and that's not even including the money they probably made on merchandising and stuff. So I mean, it's like insane.
Right.
Wow. So this film was directed this time around by Taika Waititi, if I'm saying his name correctly. He's probably best known for directing What We Do in the Shadows.
Which is hilarious, by the way.
Yes, it is. And speaking of that, Bobby, you were telling me off air you were thinking of watching it before you saw this.
You hadn't seen this?
No, he hadn't seen it.
Oh my God,
I hadn't seen it.
Have you seen it now?
Yeah, I did actually. I ended up watching it on Friday just to get in preparation for watching Thor Ragnarok.
Okay.
Not necessarily that the two correlate, but
no, not
just
at all.
because the director and trying to get a sense of his leanings towards comedy and the style in which he shoots and just some background essentially.
Right.
And it started off and I knew what the movie was and how it was done and the sense of it. But when I started watching it, I was like, I'm not getting that feeling that everyone else is getting.
Oh.
And I don't know at what point, but at some point I started to get into the vibe of the movie and really started to enjoy it and actually laugh at a lot of different things.
You're talking about What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And so I ended up liking it and having a good time with it. But it didn't start off that way for me. I was like, the comedy wasn't hitting me right. But it may have been right around. You guys probably don't remember specifics depending on how long ago you've seen it, but there's just the one part, and it's not a spoiler, but one of the characters who's a vampire, and the basic premise is that all these vampires are living together in this flat, quote unquote flat, together as housemates, and you're sort of documentary style, and they're talking about their lives, and you're just kind of following them around. And there's this one point where one of the vampires, I forget his name, but he has the mustache and the long black hair. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about like how his ability is he's able to summon people to him or make them come to him. Mm-hmm. And there's this one point where you see him outside of the window of this older guy, and he's like trying to make the guy come to him. He's like, come to me. And the guy's not hearing him or paying any attention to him. And then he just sort of subtly taps on the window and he's still saying, come to me. And then the guy turns, looks, and so I just start cracking up because it's just his power wasn't working, but he sort of hits the window so the guy would turn around. It was just so funny and it hit me just right. And from there on, I was just like all into it. But
see,
yeah,
that's how that movie kind of goes though. Like you're kind of like, is this funny? And then you have to really relax a little bit. And if you kind of relax, it really is quite funny.
Yeah, it really is.
Did you? Mm-hmm? I'm sorry. Did you watch the other movie that he did?
Not yet.
Yeah, I was going to say he also directed Hunt for the Wilder People.
Yeah, David and I saw that one.
I thought was excellent. I mean, I don't think it made my top 10, but it was...
It was so close in there.
It was close.
I'm not going to lie to you. It was close last year, my top 10.
Yeah.
It was good.
What We Do in the Shadows, I think, was the same story for me that year. I want to say it was close to my top 10, but it didn't quite make it.
It was right there, too. Yeah, dude. That movie was hilarious.
Oh, yeah. I love What We Do in the Shadows. So, anyway, that's our director.
The director.
For,
we haven't even started the film. This is going to take 5 hours.
Film.
This is going to take 5 hours.
Yeah.
All right, people, buckle up.
So
we're going to
Thor
start
Ragnarok,
this finally.
Third film in the Thor trilogy.
Back to the Bowl of Destiny.
I'm dying to know what everybody thinks of this. And back to the bowl.
Please not me.
Oh, well, then it's you, Michelle.
Gonna pick me.
You ready? Mm-hmm. It's Bobby.
Yes.
It's me.
It's Bobby.
Interesting. Okay. I get to go first.
You get to go first, Bobby.
Well, okay. So I guess I'll give a little background on my thoughts of the Thor franchise to date. And the first one is probably something I enjoyed at the time, but even then at the time when it came out, it never really felt like it was up to the same level as the other Marvel movies that were out at that time or prior to it. I liked it, but I just definitely saw aspects where I wanted to see more. And really, I didn't want Thor to be on Earth without his hammer for, a good portion of that movie. I wanted to see Thor being Thor. So that's why that movie always sort of ranks at the bottom of the barrel for me when it comes to a lot of the Marvel movies. I liked it, but, it just didn't hit me the way I wanted it to. And come the second movie around, there was a lot of elements in there that I really liked. But overall, it's kind of a forgettable movie. There's not a lot to it in terms of memorable things that happen. There's aspects they improved upon within the first one that I absolutely appreciated. But it still just wasn't that movie that I've been looking for from the Thor series. So fast forward to now where you have Thor Ragnarok, and in the previews you see that it's also mixing in Planet Hulk, which for me was a comic book series I read, and it incorporates where the Incredible Hulk is on this gladiator planet, and he in that series is a little bit depowered. So some of the things that he's fighting in the gladiator ring are more along his level, just because they maybe have made it to more of a fair playing ground to someone like the Hulk, who's so super powerful. And it was such a great story, and I always wanted to see it adapted. And I think that was maybe the goal at some point going into them, Marvel being able to do their own movies. But then for people who don't know, there's issues with Universal, because Universal is the studio that has the distribution rights to the Hulk character. So Marvel can make a movie, but they can't distribute it. So Universal would have to distribute it. But since Disney isn't in the business of letting other people distribute their movies, you won't see a Hulk movie unless some sort of deal can be made. So they've decided to kind of incorporate Hulk's character and storylines into different areas. And I thought it was pretty smart and brilliant for them to say, okay, let's take elements of Planet Hulk and put it into the Thor movie with Ragnarok. And so all this build up, and I've been waiting for this movie because of all these different aspects coming together, and watched the movie yesterday, and I came out of it, and my end result of how I feel about it is that I did enjoy it, but ultimately I think the movie is just okay. And maybe on the more positive side of okay, more so than the negative side, but it's still, for reasons I guess we can get into in spoilers, it just didn't
there will be spoilers.
Quite. Yeah, it just didn't quite do it for me. Coming from seeing What We Do in the Shadows and seeing what Taika's comedy is and humor is, I thought, okay, I can get with this. I can see where this is going with Thor, and especially when you see that sort of little short that they did with Daryl, I think it was, who's Thor's roommate. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you kind of get the sense of this is what they're kind of going towards with the Thor character, and you can kind of piece that together and think of what you're going to get in this movie, in the Thor Ragnarok. But my biggest problem, without going into the spoiler aspect of it, is that I felt that a little bit too much for my taste, that the comedy undercut some of the tension that was going on within the scene that I would have liked to have let breathe a little bit more. And I think that does tend to happen in a lot of Marvel movies, but I feel like other Marvel movies have been able to pull that off better. And this didn't quite do it to the level that I was hoping, especially knowing what stories that they were sort of putting together into this movie. So if you take out some of those comedy elements or some of the aspects of what they were doing there, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot better from a story point and from what they were doing if it wasn't for that. And then I think the other thing that sort of makes me downgrade it a bit is some of the CGI work when Hela's fighting the evil character that Kate Blanchett plays. When she's fighting, some of the CGI you can just see that it's not real. And even sometimes when the Hulk is there and he's talking, it just the CGI was just over the animation of it. You could just see it and it would pull me out. So times when stuff like that pulled me out of it, kind of made me lower it a little bit as well. But overall, I mean, I didn't hate it, and it's not that I felt like it was a horrible movie or a bad movie. In fact, I probably will see it again just to see, now that I know what to expect, if my opinion sort of changes of it based on kind of going into it with expectations of how the comedy lands. And maybe I'll catch some things I didn't before, or maybe some other things will hit me in a different way, knowing that I've kind of moved past the first viewing of it. So I would just say it's, if you're kind of on the fence about seeing this movie, I think it's another one in the line of Marvel movies that it tells another story that is edging its way towards Infinity War. So you should at least see it from that standpoint, because it gives you some more background heading in that direction.
Yeah.
All right, Michelle.
I'm up next.
You're up next.
All right. So I guess the best way to start is to just say how I feel about it. And I think I'm with Bobby. Overall, was I entertained by the time I was done with this movie? Yes, I was entertained. As a Marvel story film, no, it was very lackluster. And as a Thor film, it was not the Thor films that I like. Like, I will admit that as far as the series go, of all of the Marvels, Iron Man, I think, is always going to be my favorite Marvel film, period. I don't think I'm going to have any changes on that. But the Thor films, I've always really enjoyed, because I've always felt that they came from kind of a more serious, a little darker of a place. And they kind of anchored a lot of more solid things that are happening within the series that's going on, that's happening in their storylines. So this one for me, knowing who the director was, and then also just knowing that everybody's basically said this is a comedy for Marvel. This is a solid, like, Ant-Man kind of comedy. That's what this is going. This is what you're going to get. So I knew that going into it. But I have to say, so much of it just felt so forced. It's hard for me to feel that Thor, just over the course of a few years, has gained such a humor, like such a level of comedic humor and timing and understanding of just the way a situation would fall out, and he would look at it from a different aspect and go, that's funny because this, like, it's just weird for me because I just don't see him in that light, like that comedic of a level. He just seems so dry. And so to see him doing kind of really things that seems very out of character, in my opinion. So that really kind of bugged me. And there was a huge scene right out the gate at the beginning of the film that's like that. Now I'm saying this, and in a way it bugged me, but at the same time, there are moments that scene I'm like, oh, that's so like this director. Like, that just makes sense with his humor. Like, that's definitely his humor. And I'll admit, I giggled, I snorted, I thought it was pretty cute. But as a whole, it almost felt awkward to be laughing, because I'm like, this is not how I see Thor. Like, this is just not the way I see him and his personality. And so it was weird for me. So in a way, the comedy really kind of throughout the whole film felt kind of forced upon characters that I'm like, don't usually make this kind of level of humor or even understand this type of a humor. Like, I'm like, it's almost without outside of their personality to have that. Having said that, there's definitely a lot that I did enjoy. And I've said it a million times on here before, and I will continue to say it. Cate Blanchett just does no wrong to me. Like, that woman, I think, is awesome in so many ways, and you guys can fight me on it. I don't care. I love her. I love me some Kate. And there's moments where she makes some of these faces in some of the scenes as Hela, and I'm like, God, yeah, girl. Yes. Like, I love it so much. Like, she just conveys a lot. And at the same time, though, again, like, they would have Hela kind of have these comedic crack jokes, and I'm like, it's just not necessary. Like, Hela doesn't need to have a sense of humor. She's the goddess of death. She can basically be a bitch, and it's fine. That's cool. Like, she's here to destroy. Like, that is basically her role in the universe. So it was weird for me to have that, and it just, there's a lot of other things that I wish I could have seen more of and or expounded upon, and I'll talk about that in spoilers. And I don't know, I felt like I was seeing two films. I felt like I was seeing a Hulk film, and then I felt like I was seeing a Thor film to mesh together. Now, I'm seeing that, and what Bobby just said totally makes sense. Universal's trying to get this whole Hulk thing in without actually making another Hulk film, because they really can't make another Hulk film because technically it'd be a Universal thing. Totally understand that. However, it felt like there was a Hulk film that should have had Thor jumping into it, and there was a Thor film that maybe didn't even need Hulk in it, truth be told, in my opinion. Like, if you took out that whole section, I felt like it wasn't even needed. So it's frustrating to me to see this film where I'm like, I really feel like they could have gone very deep and very dark on it, and Thor could have still been amazing. And then almost there's a side story of this is a Hulk film, and I just feel like they merged it. And for me, it just felt weird. I know Bobby said you enjoyed it, but for me, it just didn't work out, and it just kind of was annoying. And I agree. I have a lot of issues with the CGI. Again, we'll get into that in spoilers. I don't know. Like, I feel like this fell flat. It fell flat for me as a Thor film. It fell flat for me as a Marvel film within the cinematic universe that they have going on. And again, though, at the same time, though, I think I'm a huge sucker for the character of Thor. I'm a huge sucker for the storyline. Like, I love having Loki in it, and I enjoyed the character of Hela. I enjoy having I love this world. I love the Asgardian world. Like, it just feels good to me. And so seeing it on one side, I'm very happy, but I'm disappointed in this film. I don't hate it, but I'm disappointed in this film. It just didn't hit the mark for me. And I'm saying that, and I'll admit, like, I left that theater Thursday night, and I was kind of like, oh, okay. So that happened. Okay, cool. Well, overall, I feel pretty good. And like, the more it sits with me, the more I think about this film, the more I'm like, I'm really disappointed. As the weekend is dragged on, I'm like, I'm so disappointed in this film. It just makes me sad. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
That's where you're at, huh?
I still love Chris Hemsworth, though. God bless that man.
I get that.
He's so pretty.
So I guess that leaves me. All right.
That's you.
I guess my backstory with Thor is first, I have liked the Thor films. Like most of the characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I wasn't a Marvel reader, so I'm not familiar with them. So, I went into the Thor movies with no background, and overall, when it comes to the Thor movies compared to the other Marvel films, I have liked them. I feel like I've liked them more than most, because I have felt like the Thor films have, and I get it, kind of like what you're saying, Bobby, with your opinion on them. I get why you feel the way you feel about them, but I feel like they're definitely almost the least liked of all of the Marvel films, and overall, I've liked them. I get the problems people have with them, but especially the Dark World, I really enjoyed. I mean, I get that the villain's not very good, and I fully agree. and I get why, like you say, it's kind of forgettable, Bobby. I in a way, I can't disagree with you, but there's just something about it I still like. I think I just like Thor as a character. I like Asgard, and I like that world, and I don't know. I just enjoy watching those movies. And
see, and for me, like I'm saying, like when I was saying, like the Thor films are almost like an anchor in the universe that's happening. It's because there's huge things that happen with like, with the stones, and just like those are huge. Those are huge moments that are literally catapulting the rest of everybody else's stories.
Right.
And I feel like anybody else can gloss over that, and that's what happened. But it's like when you look at it as a whole, what happens in those two the first Thor film and the second Thor film. Oh my God.
Please go on.
Let me eat some more of your children's Halloween candy. So what happens in those two films?
Please.
I feel that those are huge in the whole of what's happening within the universe. And I feel like it gets dusted over. But I feel like if those two films hadn't happened, other things wouldn't be going on. And I feel like that's what unfortunately happened with these two films. Am I wrong?
No, I agree. But yeah, I've been a fan of the Thor movies, and I was a fan of the stuff I've seen from Waititi first so far, and the trailer for Thor Ragnarok was, I mean, I was just like, oh, dude, this is set. And all I gotta say right off the bat is listening to you guys, I'm just like, oh, thank God I'm not insane, because I will say, I definitely like the movie, I think, less than you guys.
I will agree. I know. No, based on our conversation the other day, you were not happy.
But after watching this movie, basically the same way I felt after watching Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I feel the way I feel, and I'm not going to apologize for it. But then I look at like the Rotten Tomato score, which right now for Thor is 93%.
Oh my God.
And I'm just
so
like,
high.
am I insane? I'm like, because I'm sorry, but Thor Ragnarok was not a very good film.
No.
Like, I agree. I'm not going to say it's terrible, but this is not a good movie.
No.
And what the fuck is wrong with me, apparently, because everyone is loving this. And I felt like the same thing happened with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Like, I'm sorry. I've watched Guardians Volume 2 again, and I like it even less. And in this, I will agree, Bobby. I do want to watch Ragnarok again and see if my opinion changes, just like kind of what you're saying. But
yeah,
I'm sorry, this is a huge disappointment. I thought this was in the bank. I'm like, man,
no, I did too, dude.
Like Waititi he seems really talented, and that trailer was so strong,
solid, so solid.
I'm like, oh, dude, and then I saw some of the reviews from like James Gunn and some of the references he made to like Flash Gordon and stuff. I'm like, oh, dude, this is gonna be fucking amazing.
Right.
I cannot wait to see this, and.
and I think all of us were super hyped for it. We're like, this. I remember we all saw the first trailer, and then we all were like, we never need to see another trailer. We're totally sold, 100% in.
And I went into this also like, look, I get that this is going to be a huge departure from the other two films, but it looks like it's just going to be so much fun that I don't care. But now, because of the way I feel about it, I am left going, God, it's such a departure from the other two Thor films. And when you think of this as a trilogy, it's like, God, this is so different.
Oh yeah, I feel like if you were to sit and watch the first, the second, and then the third one in order, you'd be like, what the fuck just happened?
And now it truly does feel like what I'm sure it is, which is it just now it really feels like such a reaction to the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, which is that first Guardians of the Galaxy movie was such a success because it's so good, and it is. Mm-hmm. And then we saw the trailers for Thor Ragnarok, and we were all like, oh wow, obviously there's an influence there, like they're going down that road with the music and the retro look, and now it really just feels like Marvel's just like, oh, we got to capitalize on that, and the Thor films are the weakest of the films, so we'll just change things up and make it Guardians of the Galaxy like, and it just didn't work. Like, for me, the biggest thing is that it feels like it's kind of two different movies. It also feels like Marvel's like in the in the desire to have Hulk involved in the universe, and they can't make solo Hulk films. Oh, well, we'll do some fan service and we'll do the Planet Hulk thing. So let's put that in there, but let's also have Hela be the villain. And it just feels like two different movies going on. Like basically Thor on this planet with the Grandmaster and Hulk is going on on one side, but then we want Hela though to be the villain, and that's going on over here. And no, it really just feels like it needs to be one or the other. I think if you had just made this a movie on whatever that planet's called with the Grandmaster, Sakaar, and just purely made it a movie about Thor somehow getting trapped there, and then him and Hulk having to figure out how they're going to escape, and basically make the Grandmaster the villain, which, by the way, Jeff Goldblum is amazing in this movie.
Standout. I will say, for sure. Agreed.
Totally underused.
Completely underused.
Like, if you had basically made him kind of the villain character in this and given him more screen time and just made that the movie and purely made it a comedy, like you basically tried to do anyway, then I think this could have been way more successful. But instead, you did that. You wanted that to be in a movie about Hela. And
I was telling you, I feel like it's literally, what is the Hulk series?
The Hulk series.
The one that you're talking about.
Oh, Planet Hulk?
Yeah. So it feels like a Planet Hulk film and then a Ragnarok film. And I say that basically everything on Sakaar is the Hulk. And then basically Ragnarok film would be everything with Hela. Like, it feels like it's two separate films.
It feels like two separate movies, and it just doesn't work for me. And I'll get into it in spoilers. It's not a surprise, but there's stuff we'll talk about in spoilers that is just the typical Marvel, like, let's incorporate things from other parts of the universe, which happens early in the movie, that I'm just like, eye roll, like, this is so unnecessary. I'm sorry. It's just, I know, Michelle, we've actually talked about this off air, and I think you disagree with me a bit, but
a little bit, to an extent.
That whole segment in the beginning of the film, just like, this so does not need to be here. And it just so feels like this unnecessary need to tie things together and incorporate other characters to just make this one big happy world. And I hated it. I hated that part of the movie.
We'll talk in spoilers.
And the CG. There were many, many times in this movie where it was so, I mean, obviously all of these movies involve a lot of green screen work. Yeah. But this movie in particular, there were so many times that the way the characters seemed separated from the backgrounds just did not look good. It just seems so incredibly obvious that there was green screen work here, when we obviously know there always is, but it just wasn't well done here. And also just the look of everything, just like the props, like on Sakaar, and just like this whole like trash heap, for example, and it just, I'm like, this doesn't look like trash. It just looks too pretty. Like, it just, I totally don't know.
Agree. I totally agree. It was too clean. It looked like it had just been freshly spray painted. Right. Like, it looked like it had just been done. And I was like, it's trash. What the, are you kidding me?
So, I don't know. That's kind of the basis of my thoughts on this. I was not happy with it. I mean, sure, there are plenty of things I laughed at. Basically, the stuff we saw at Comic-Con, which I had seen already. Right. That whole section was really well done. And I'm like, I laughed at all of that. And the character with the accent that you would never expect from that character, I can't remember his name.
The director, the one the director voice.
The Rock character, yeah.
Korg.
Yeah, he's great. I love that guy.
That's actually the director of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely stuff I like about the movie. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely stuff I laughed at. But overall, I don't know. I kind of feel like it's a mess, and I'm left scratching my head, going, "Am I out of my mind?" Because everyone loves this. No. So I don't know. I'm so bummed. I'm killed by fuck it. I'm determined Black Panther is gonna be terrible.
Blasphemous!
Wow. Trust me,
Shut up.
I'm saying that even though I don't really believe it, because it looks so goddamn good. But goddamn it, Thor Ragnarok looks so goddamn good. So
Bobby, make him stop. Bobby, make him shut up. Make him shut up, Bobby.
That's what I mean. I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it. It's probably going to be just shit.
No.
I refuse to believe that. Just
Agreed.
I agree with you. Trust me. You know, I'm kind of joking. I really do believe Black Panther is going to be great, and I believe in that director. But I believed in this director, so I don't know what to think anymore. I'm just so confused, and I'm already, from the little bit I've seen of Infinity War, I'm not even just that excited about that, and I'm just right now, I don't know, maybe I'm having some weird Marvel fatigue, but the last couple Marvel movies, with the extreme exception of Spider-Man Homecoming, which I thought was amazing, this killed me. So this really bummed me out. I thought this was going to be great. I'm sorry. For everyone listening who apparently probably the majority of people think I'm crazy, I don't know what to tell you.
No, I was going to say, it's funny because from what I'm seeing, everybody's loving this and they're loving it. And I'm wondering if that, based on the situation, at least in America that we have, based on our current political outlook and everything else is happening in our world, and you know, we've got people killing each other around here, that we just really needed an outlet that was so far from what we are in currently. That's why people are loving it. I don't know if that's what general public needs, is we need such a departure from where we are to make them feel better about life. That's why we're loving this so much. I'm saying the population's loving this so much. I don't know. But I will say, I agree. I don't agree with what consensus seems to be showing up on ratings and reviews. I don't agree with it. I really don't. It's this one's pretty low for me, and I mean, at this point, spoilers. Let's chat.
I can't help but read the critics' consensus from Rotten Tomatoes, by the way.
Oh my God.
It reads, exciting, funny, and above all, Thor Ragnarok is a colorful cosmic adventure that sets a new standard for its franchise and the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like that hurts me inside. I'm like, that's crazy fucking talk.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway.
Bobby's like, wow, I didn't like it, but damn.
Well, no, I mean, I did. I enjoyed it, but it's to me, that's just a bit much. And what standard? That makes no sense to me.
Right.
It's no.
Right.
What standard? They all have their own individual. To me, people like to say and criticize Marvel for feeling the same throughout their movies, but I couldn't disagree more. To me, they have their own voice, the different movies and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like with what you have in Captain America movies are different than what you get in an Ant-Man movie, or what you get from an Ant-Man movie to what you get in a Thor film. I mean, they all seem to have their own different distinctive things. One thing that I would say runs through a lot of them is there's comedy elements to it. Right. But aside from that, it's
an element. It's not the main focus.
Yeah. So, I don't know what standard that means. It just doesn't make sense to me as a statement.
All right. Well, with that, I think we probably all want to talk about at least some spoilers. So
quickly,
let's do a little spoiler segment here. So anyone who hasn't talked about Thor Ragnarok or hasn't seen Thor Ragnarok yet, just a heads up, we're going to be talking about spoilers for the film from here on out. And with that, let's do this. And I don't know, Bobby, since you went first for the reviews, I'm going to go to you if you have anything you kind of want to talk about in spoilers.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just not sure how and where to start, because there's a lot of different things I wanted to sort of, to try and touch on. Well, I mean, I guess that sort of speaks for itself in a way where I think there was times when the Hulk was talking, it didn't look realistic at all, and it just really looked weird, and so it just brought me out of the scene a lot of times when he would be giving his thoughts or saying things to Thor. And then I mentioned also where Hela's fighting, and it just all looked like I could see the computer animators doing their thing on their boards and just animating the fight between them, and it just didn't look believable in any sense. Sometimes they do a good job of mixing in an actual person and CGI, and this just looked like it was all CGI, and it just didn't feel right and just didn't look good. And I think there was a part where I was sitting here thinking, I think they filmed this movie in Australia or New Zealand or something. It may be New Zealand. And I remember thinking there was this scene where Thor and Loki and Odin are together, and they're on the outlook of a cliff, into the ocean. You can see the ocean
they're
behind them.
supposed to be in Norway.
Okay. And yes, they were supposed to be in Norway in the film. And it looked like they were superimposed.
Yeah.
In that scene.
They were superimposed into
Like,
Norway. They didn't actually get on an airplane.
Right.
For
It's like
the one
these
day
movies-
shoot it would have taken in Norway to have done the one freaking scene. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like these movies make so much money, and they usually can do something like that where they can just say, "Okay, let's go to Norway for a day
We're
and
gonna take
shoot this scene."
four actors to freaking Norway. Heaven forbid you spend one day in Norway with 4 of the actors.
So it just was like, to me, it just looked fake. I was like, really? Out of this big budget movie, you couldn't make this look a little bit more real? And if it was real, then I'm flabbergasted at how badly it looks.
It was shot, yeah.
Beyond that, some of the issues that I had with it were, again, with the humor undercutting some of the dramatic tension of some of the scenes that were going on. Because one scene I thought was a character that I liked in the movie, which was Valkyrie, played by Tessa Thompson. But when you get her introduction, you see her sort of, well, she's drunk and she's walking down the ship's ramp to go and claim Thor.
Right.
And she's walking and she looks intoxicated, but she sort of has this move and swagger about her. And then she just falls off the platform. And I don't think I laughed, but I was like, I see what they were trying to do there, but it just, I didn't see the purpose for it really. And then they do that.
Could I jump in on that one real quick?
Yeah.
So here's my thing. So David was telling me that he read things where they were saying Tessa Thompson is the standout in this film. And I really like Tessa Thompson, and I like her as the character of Valkyrie. Do not get me wrong. However, one of my issues I have is them making Valkyrie basically an alcoholic as a whole. And it's this constant joke that keeps coming up throughout the film. And honestly, it was just annoying. And it all started with that scene. And I'm like, really? Really, Marvel? This is what we're doing? Like, come on. Like, you've completely undercut this character. I don't know. It just it bugs me to the core that they did that with that character as a whole. And when you say that, I'm like, yeah, that scene it honestly kind of pissed me off when they did that. When she fell because she was drunk, I was like, really, Marvel? Really?
Yeah.
Like, ugh. My eye roll cannot be big enough, sadly. Sorry, please continue, Bobby.
Yeah, and so there's other aspects that I just felt get glossed over because there's the Warriors 3 that I don't know how many people are familiar with them, but it's like Thor's right-hand men, so to speak.
Yes.
You've seen them in the other movies.
Uh-huh.
I always forget some of their names, but it's like Volstaff and Cathedral or something like
Fandral.
that. Fandral, yeah. And then there's one other guy, I forget his name. But they're always around him, and they dispatch 2 of them right away in the beginning of the movie, and it's just
within
no
10
fanfare.
seconds.
Yeah, it's nothing, it's just you're completely glossed over. There's never any time to mourn. I don't even think Thor even asked where they were in the whole film. Like, it's like didn't even bother to say
where are my 3 best friends? Where'd they go to? And they were just slaughtered within like nothing. And the one guy made it, I think, a full solid 50 seconds before he died. But the first 2, I don't think they made 10 whole seconds. And they were killed. And it's funny, I actually looked at David at one point and I was like, dude, where's Lady Sif during all this? Like, what the hell? Is she doing stuff with S.H.I.E.L.D.? What the fuck?
Well, that's the thing. And they don't explain it in the story, but in real life, she's on the show Blind Spot. So she had scheduling troubles and couldn't make it. And then in an interview, Kevin Feige said that you will see her story at some point, what Lady Sif is
like reason why she wasn't involved in Ragnarok, like she was helping out S.H.I.E.L.D. or some bullshit or something.
Yeah.
Right.
So you'll see something as an explanation, but at least she's still alive. So I can at least be happy about that. They didn't kill that character off. And so I guess a lot of it was around the dramatic tension. What I did think did work for me though was some of the elements in which they were one seeding future stories for where Thor series can go.
Right.
The fact that they destroyed Asgard and Ragnarok did take place. That is from the comics in a certain aspect where there was a point where Asgard was destroyed and Thor was able to save part of Asgard and have it on Earth, and it was in a, I guess it levitated above a plane of field in, it was either Kansas or Oklahoma. I want to say Oklahoma, but it just levitates there, and that's where Asgard was, and they called it New Asgard or something like that. So I'm
Right.
thinking maybe they're going to try and do something like that in the movies.
Do that in Norway.
Asgard on Midgard or on Earth. Yeah, maybe Norway.
Well, and I only say that because Odin has that one line of "This is home."
Right. Yeah. No,
And
that
so,
makes sense.
and that's honestly that's where all of this the lore comes from, is from
Right.
Norwegian folklore. That's the whole reason Thor, this whole mythology comes from.
Yeah, exactly. So there's definitely precedence for it, especially in the film and in the comics. So there's elements that I'm wanting to see how they play that out. And one of the other things I did like, although you could, I really felt like in the way that you guys talk about the elements of the Planet Hulk and the Thor Ragnarok as two different things and put together, you can definitely see the seams there, but I felt like in the most way that they possibly could do it from a storytelling point of view, they did the best that they could in terms of how Thor gets to a place like that and why he's there in the first place.
Right.
In terms of when you last see the Hulk, he's aboard the Quinjet and it's going off to who knows where, and you find out that it ends up being in the planet Sakaar. And I just think that a lot of what you said, Michelle, is actually true in the way that if you take out the whole part with the Hulk and Sakaar, you really have the same story, because the Hulk really does nothing to sort of affect the outcome of this movie.
Right.
And it could have been anyone in his role, really.
I mean,
And
even Hulk fighting Hela's wolfhound, even that, I mean, it does nothing. That really adds. It really adds or detracts from nothing. So I mean, and I love Hulk. I have nothing against Hulk. I feel like as a whole for this film, you're looking at two films, and I feel like they just threw Hulk into it, and I'm like, this film could have stood alone without that. But at the same time, like, there could have been a Hulk film, and I realize there can't be a Hulk film thanks to Universal. But I'm just saying, it feels like two separate things to me.
Yeah, and I think that the other problem too is that, like I just sort of said when you were mentioning about not having anything against the Hulk. Hulk is one of my favorite characters, and so I know how strong the Hulk is compared to other characters, and when they were showing that arena fight with Hulk and Thor, I can get the sense of what they were doing, but ultimately you kind of get or at least I did. I got the idea that they were trying to say that Thor was about to beat the Hulk, and it was only once he got that Odin Sun power, which is what it's called when his eyes sort of light up, he gets kind of the power of Odin, is when he's really super high level powered up. But even before that, Hulk should still be able to beat Thor when Thor's regular strength, because if the Hulk isn't the most powerful person on the team, then what purpose does the Hulk serve if Thor can beat the Hulk? I mean, to me, it doesn't make sense why you have a Hulk if Thor can do essentially the same thing.
Right. So, and I think a lot of it is that when you look at Hulk and you look at Thor can kind of, and he literally does it too. He outmaneuvers him because he can think in a different direction than Hulk does.
Right.
Hulk is usually, and there are times Hulk outsmarts people. He has some spectacular moments, but for the most part, Hulk is about strength, and he doesn't always think about utilizing the elements that are around him to maneuver and manipulate the situation and improve upon his strength. Whereas Thor says, I know I'm this strong, but if I anchor myself this way and utilize this thing and I do this, then I will outstrength this because I was, using other elements other than just my strength. I was also using, I can't think of the word now. But anyways, my point is I get what you're saying. Is in theory, yes, Thor should not be as strong as Hulk, but because I think Thor thinks differently than Hulk does, he can, in a way, I don't want to say outsmart him, but he can use his brains to make his strength more of a power against him.
And that's a fair point. And that does happen. And in the comic books, especially in Planet Hulk, the Hulk has a higher level of sentience and intelligence than what they show in this movie. In this movie, I think they said he's sort of like a 6-year-old or something, which shows. But in the comics, he's really smart, and he still has that battle acuity to be able to fight someone like a Thor in a better sort of match. And I would say also the one thing that makes the Hulk stand out too, even if you were to do the things that you were mentioning, Michelle, in terms of being able to outfight him in a way where he's more trained, Thor would be.
Right.
The thing with the Hulk is that unless you are able to knock him out, then you're only just going to make him madder, and the madder he gets, the stronger he gets.
Right.
And he has no upper limits of how mad he can get and how strong he can get. So in theory, he could get so strong that, you just wouldn't be able to do anything against him. But that's, just me getting comic book nerdy a little bit.
Oh,
but,
Bobby.
Bobby. Aside from that, that's just my little comic book stuff going on. But the other things that I think were, I really felt like, as much as I did like Cate Blanchett playing Hela.
Don't you dare.
I think that.
Don't you dare talk about my Kate.
I gotta talk a little bit about.
I'm just kidding.
She looked great.
I'll just stop talking to you altogether,
really
but it's fine.
Awesome in the role, but I felt like, why make her Thor's sister if you don't give that any more weight, really, than what they did? It was sort of just a passing.
Could I ask as to how you would add weight to that, out of curiosity?
I would think that she would have a little bit more dimension to her, knowing that she was cast out by her father, and that now he has these two sons that are more important to him than her. And she was just sort of happy he was dead without any real sort of angst there at all, because it was still her father. Even with Loki, you've seen that as much as he hated Odin, he still loved Odin, and he was like, just wanted that respect from his father. And you could see it when Odin said that he loves his sons, and you see that look on Loki's face. He's like, wow, he does love me. And there was just no real. She was just almost just too much of a twirling mustache bad guy, where I felt like by giving her that connection to Thor, you would have gave her a little bit more depth in some sort of way, and it wasn't really there for me. And so
I have to come to Hela's defense on this one.
Okay.
I mean, I see what you're saying, and I feel like they addressed it a little bit, but it's just, a lot of it is that her dark powers, I mean, she is the goddess of death, dude. Like, that's literally her drive in life. And so you have to understand that once Odin realized just how strong she was at that point, and he cut her off and he put her in jail, basically, he, sent her away. She doesn't have to have feelings for Odin. Like, her main driver in life is not for love or for even emotions. It's for death. And that's how it is. And that's why my problem is when she even has like kind of little side quippy jokes. I'm kind of like, really? Because she could kind of just be a hardcore bitch, and that's fine. Because her whole shtick is that she is the goddess of death. Like, that's her thing.
Yeah, but I think to defense of what Bobby's saying, I feel like then it's unnecessary, though, to make that connection. I think when you make that connection of her being the sister, there's an expectation of some type of more depth into the situation, and I feel like if you're not going to do that, then don't bother.
All right, then I'm going to bust out some nerdy freshman mythology 101 on you boys. I feel like the only reason they made the connection is because that's how the mythology is written.
Well, that's actually...
I mean, and I hate to get so crappy on it, but yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
As far as I know, and just to get level you up a little bit in the comics,
do it. Let's do this, Bobby. Let's throw down. I got me some Starburst. We got all night. Let's do this.
In the comics, I don't believe there is that familial connection between Hela and
I will agree with you on that.
But there is one that they just did within the last year or two that they've sort of retconned and made Angela, who's a character who used to be in the Spawn series, made her Thor's sister in the comics, and she's an angel, quote unquote angel. And so I feel like they just sort of said, oh, Thor does have a sister now. Let's just make her Hela and make that connection instead of making it Angela, because that would be too hard.
What I'm referring to though is the actual Nordic mythology, as I think it's traditionally it is Hela is Odin's daughter. And so I think Marvel kind of decided to go more that direct route with it than say the comic direct route with it in this instance. And so, yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Okay. Well, yeah. I would say okay.
I'm saying mythology wise outside of the comics. I'm saying if you go Nordic mythology, I think they're going that direction, which is cool. But
it is, but what would be the point of that if they didn't flesh it out a little bit more in the movie? When in the comics, Hela is a standalone character. You could have just had her a standalone character. She could have been, even for all I care, the leader of the Valkyries that went rogue, she was like now this evil thing that he cast out.
And so I think the only last argument I have towards that would be that they were just trying to make Thor pull on Thor's heartstrings in a way. Give him that one split second of, oh, but it's my sister. And I don't think he even had that. And I don't think he really even had that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't even think he had that. I think it was just kind of maybe a ploy to try to get to that point. But he honestly, like, because he and Loki never grew up with her, they didn't know her, they didn't even know her existence. It didn't even have that. So I think it was almost a try to get to that. Like, maybe it might uncover a layer of that. But I honestly, part of me kind of like whatever, it's cool. So,
but anyways. Yeah, I mean,
my mythology could be wrong, as David's looking up Wikipedia right now.
Oh, I'm researching this shit.
He's trying to prove me wrong. He's calling me out on my bullshit.
I'm just doing research.
Now, here's what I will admit on air right now. I am pretty solid in my Roman mythology and my Greek mythology. I will admit my Nordic mythology is a bit shady, okay? But I feel fairly solid because Nordic mythology
please carry on.
Is worked on the back of additional of Roman mythologies, which is stolen from Greek mythology. So it all piggybacks off of each other. So when you look at Odin, Zeus, and you look at Hela, and you look at other characters, they're all kind of all mixed in together. So it's all very similar. But anyways, I could be extremely wrong. But if I recall, again, Freshman 101, this is many years ago. I'm so old now. I feel like it was written into the mythology, and I could be very wrong here as David continues to Wikipedia this.
Would you like to know what I've discovered?
He loves to prove me wrong. God, I know he loves to prove me wrong, because I'm waiting for this moment.
I am not desiring to prove you wrong.
I know you are.
I'm just doing this for factual information.
Nope. I know this is. Come
that, on. It would appear that Hela is based on Hel.
Yes. Which is usually the brother.
Hel.
Hades.
And according to what I'm reading here, it looks like Hel is referred to as a daughter of Loki.
That's right.
In Norse mythology. In my quick Wikipedia research.
All right, Mr. Wikipedia.
That's all. We're going down that road. We're going to end this. But that's all I know.
Well, because Hel would have been Hades and Odin is Zeus, and they're usually brothers, so it all kind of... Okay, point is, they're all related, goddammit.
Anyway, I think we've gone deep here.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that was pretty much it. I probably have a few more things that maybe will come to mind, but aside from that, that that's where I really stand with it. There's some things that I disliked, and there was some things I definitely did like. Oh, one thing I did like, actually, I thought was kind of cool. It was, I wouldn't say it was a throwaway moment, but it happened pretty quickly. Where in the beginning you see Thor fighting, and he's in Surtur's, I don't know what that place is, but
Hell.
where all the lava is it hell? I didn't know if it was
I don't think
supposed
it's
to be hell or
technically
not,
hell, but it's
well,
basically
yeah, but their
hell.
version of it, I guess.
It's
but
their version of hell or whatever his world is, underworld or whatever you want to call it. But it seems like hell to me. If I were
It does
to
seem like
pick
it.
hell, I would think that would be hell.
So I like when Thor's fighting and he's fighting against the monsters and stuff, and he's just I like the look of him using his hammer and
Yeah.
the way he around and throws it, and then there's like the point of view shot of the hammer as it's going around in a circle, knocking everyone out, and then comes back to Thor's hand. I thought that was pretty sweet. And then you see Thor jump in the air and just hit the hammer down. I love stuff like that, but you don't get enough of that. And that's I thought was some of the good action that I saw in it. And then just some of the other elements of the story I did like, and that I think it balanced it out for me from the bad stuff that I didn't like and the good stuff that I did like, to where when I started this whole review, I said it was okay, and I did enjoy it, and it was on the more positive side of okay than it is the negative side.
I agree with you. Like, I like watching the whole him interacting with the hammer, because I feel like that's an acknowledgement of just how comfortable he is with it and using it and whatnot. And which also leads into my next thing, because obviously this is going to be my spoiler section now, even though I basically talked over half of Bobby's. And I'll wrap this up quick because I know we're getting close on time here. But so basically, yeah, for me, like, I enjoyed watching him use the hammer, but to see him really become the god of thunder, like, for me, it was just such a good moment, because I think that's the Thor that I know from the comics, is him being able to call upon, was it the power of Odin?
The Odin sun power.
Odin's sun power, yeah. Like, for me, it just, I love seeing that. I love, like, the moment at the end of the film when he really harnesses it and he realizes this is who he is. I'm like, oh, finally. And I'm saying this because I'm not going to lie to you. So there's a Marvel game that's on PlayStation 2 that I freaking love. And he is my favorite freaking character to play. If every time I pick one, I'm like, I'm playing Thor. I'm picking Thor because, dude, he kills it on that game. God love it. It's amazeballs to watch him kick ass on that game. Sorry. Side note. Anyways, so no, it was cool to see Thor totally like become, you know, who he is. It just, it felt good to me. Like, I was like, oh my God, finally he can do shit. Thank you, Jesus. He realizes it's not just through Mew Mew. It's cool. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Jessica Shabbat.
It's Odin power.
It's Odin power. I love it though. It's happy. It makes me happy. So I'll talk positives. Positives. So that would be one of my big positives. Other positive from the film for me, I think, was just, in a way, I think that my overall positive for the film was seeing Thor come full into who he is as being Thor, the god of thunder, and being Odin's son, and being the true rightful like heir with Asgard, and I think fully understanding and comprehending what he's actually in charge of. And that felt really good to me. Like, that made me very happy. Unfortunately, there's a ridiculously long list of negatives, so I'll quickly go through this. Jeff Goldblum, amazeballs, so good. Totally underused, like David said. I fully agree. Like, he could have been such an amazing villain, like serious villain, and it would have been so awesome. Like, he was just so damn quirky through the whole thing, and I'm sure some of it was written in, and some of it, I swear to God, had have been Jeff just going, let me just do this. Just roll film, and let's just see what happens. And he was just making magic happen, like the snapping of the fingers at one point. Fucking genius. Hilarious. So good. Like, there's just Jeff Goldblum moments, and I'm just like, oh my God, I love this so much. It makes me so happy. So, yeah. What were you going to say, Bobby?
Oh, no, I was just, because you said something that triggered a thought in my head that we hadn't talked about. But What'd you guys think of Doctor Strange being in the movie?
Oh, we'll get to that in just a second.
Oh, okay.
Hold your horses. Horses. Okay. David thinks I've lost my mind right now.
When doesn't he?
I guess quickly, negatives. Yeah, I will say I feel like the set design was horrific, and a lot of the times I feel like when they actually were physically on a set, it looked bad. It looked really, really bad. It was not good. I wasn't very happy with it. I gotta say, Carl Urban's character, completely stupid and unnecessary, and quite honestly, it just annoyed the shit out of me. I was happy to see Heimdall return, though. That made me very happy. I love him. I think he's magic, and I never want him to go away. I already talked about Tessa Thompson. Well, I love her. I don't think she was the standout, although she's being quoted as the standout of the film. I'm trying to think of other negatives. What else did I say to you the other day?
Oh, wow.
I said a lot of stuff the other day.
I was too upset with the movie.
I
can't
know.
remember.
I'm sorry. It just went right over your little head. You were so angry. So angry. I had to buy him pancakes.
I got one for you, Michelle. So if Tom Hiddleston ever retires as Loki, do you want to see Matt Damon play Loki?
I'm not going to lie to you, dude. I'm not going to lie. So I'm in the theater. Oh, you brought me up to my other pissed off moment. So I'm in the theater and you realize in the moment, you're like, oh my God, that's Matt Damon. And I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of lost my shit. I thought it was hilarious.
I thought it was funny too, actually.
Oh, I thought it was fucking hilarious. Having said that, no, I do not want to see Matt Damon play Loki. Tom Hiddleston is Loki forever and always will be until death do us part. That brings me to my other little quick gripe is honestly, it bothers me that Loki, and obviously we all know he was impersonating Odin, but it's frustrating to see that Loki would like purposely like let Odin as a human, as an Asgardian, basically just get fucking kooky as shit. Are you kidding me? Like, no, like pull it together. Like, it's weird to think that he would have started a play and had a statue, like all this bullshit. I'm like, I feel like people would have picked up on shit being weird if Odin started acting that way. Right. Like, come on. Like, it was such a huge stretch in the story and it really kind of irritated me. And I was like, come on. Like, it's just not even realistic to me. And it just really bothered me. And my major one, and I already voiced it, is basically Thor magically having a sense of humor. And I realize this is technically 2 years later, and he slowly has been developing a sense of humor. But my God, man, I mean, we're talking a development, not only a sense of humor, but absolute comedic chops. Like, it just is not within his character. And it's weird to me to see that. Like, I take Thor too seriously, I guess. So it just really bothered me to see that. But I don't know. As a whole, it's weird. I don't like the way that Odin dies. I don't like the way it was handled. It just seemed bizarre. And honestly, they took Chris Hemsworth's fucking eye out. Are you shitting me right now? My jaw dropped, dude. And I'm okay with it. But at the moment, talk about shock and awe. My little heart, I think it literally stopped for a split second. I was like, they took his eye. Anyways.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Well, I think there's precedence for that as well. Or even I don't know if it was his eye or his arm, but I think there's been a point in time where he didn't have his eye.
I get it. I'm not saying I don't
get it back.
I get it. I do get it. It just was a little sad for me. I was like, oh, he's only going to have one eye light up blue now. Like, it was just like, oh, that's kind of sad. But and I don't know. I have a lot of issues, but David has more issues than I do, so I'm going to shut up now.
Okay, so what? It's my turn.
Yep.
Well, we're going on pretty long. I won't be very long here. I don't have much more to add. I mean, even though I may feel more strongly in my negative about this movie, it's a lot of the opinions you guys have shared. It's kind of the same. I guess I'll jump onto the Doctor Strange things that you brought up, Bobby. I hated that. Like, that's what I referred to earlier. I mean, in my non-spoiler review, I I was not a fan of that part of the movie at all. I didn't think it was necessary. I mean, if I were to take that little section out of this and like, sure, the interaction between them I thought is entertaining on its own, but in the context of this movie, I thought it was stupid and completely
It doesn't really
unnecessary.
add anything to the storyline at all.
No, and it just felt so unnecessary. The second you see the thing pop up under Loki and that he's going to fall in it, and I just almost immediately like, oh God, here it comes.
I feel like I actually heard your eye roll.
Yeah, you could hear my eyes rolling.
I think I actually heard your eye roll next to me. I, on the other hand, was actually kind of delighted by it. And you, I mean, I think you actually had an audible sigh. I was kind of sad by it.
You know,
Oh,
I
go ahead,
get
Bobby.
that. No, I was just gonna say because I think I fall somewhere in the middle between you and Michelle, where I don't feel it was completely necessary, but yet they felt like they had to pay it off based on the way Doctor Strange ended.
Right.
But I did like seeing Doctor Strange more akin to the Doctor Strange I'm used to seeing him as in the comics in terms of his power set and what he's able to do, because he was whipping things around like it was like nothing to him, and that's what I'm used to. So I like seeing him more as the classic Doctor Strange, and he even had the gloves, like the yellow thing, gloves that he wears in the comics and stuff. So he felt more like the character to me seeing him in this little bit, but it definitely felt like it was tacked in there. Not necessarily tacked in there, but it was put in there because they had to pay it off from the other movie.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. That bugged me. And I mean, but honestly, in terms of spoilers, I don't have much more to add. I mean, yeah, there's things in this movie that feel like let's find a way of kind of tying off something that we set up in Dark World that we just changed our minds with, like basically like you talked about with Loki playing the part of Odin. And the end of Dark World really felt like it was setting up like they had one thing in mind, and then they decided to make this movie and go, well, fuck that, but we gotta kind of tie that up, so we'll do it with this really funny bit with this whole play and this whole thing. Like, and I agree with you, Michelle, like all the stuff about it, yeah, it's funny, but it's like, come on, like it's beyond ridiculous that everyone in Asgard would just be like, oh yeah, this is
how Odin is now.
This is life now. Like, what?
Odin's fucking off his off rocker now. We're totally cool with it.
And then you have other moments that are kind of amusing that kind of try to tie something up. The one I'm thinking of is the Infinity Gauntlet, and how there's been that discussion of, oh, well, now why is it that, Thanos has it, but we saw it in Asgard in the vault, and, there's this moment where Hela just was like, oh, that's a fake. Which,
she knocks it off.
Yeah, just kind of like settles that. And I mean, that's kind of amusing. That didn't bother me too much, but I don't know.
But then she passes up the Tesseract as if it's like nothing really.
Yeah.
Well, she said, she kind of, what did you say, tempting? She's like, yeah, that's tempting. She's like, but, because she has her eye on a bigger ball. Yeah.
Yeah, the eternal flame.
The eternal flame, which yet another element of this film, I think extremely underused. If you're going to mention this eternal flame and bring back an entire army of Asgardian fighters, and you're going to use it to resurrect the other dude at the very end with the helmet. He was at the beginning of the film. And you bring him back and he comes to the sides of a mountain. Can't remember his name now. Suze.
Lava guy.
Saz, lava dude.
The thing from Lord of the Rings.
Right. Surtur. Yeah. So, it's like they talk about it, but they don't like then it just kind of dropped throughout the film. And again, I feel like if this was more of a Ragnarok themed film, they would have been able to go into more in depth on that. It would have been more of a focus. And it was just dropped. Like, it was just very like, we're going to bring back the army and...
Yeah. Well, and that's the funny thing to me is because I could be remembering the abilities of the Tesseract wrong, but isn't the Tesseract essentially the mind gem? And if it's the mind gem, wouldn't you want that? And you can just control all the Asgardians to be on board with your... taking over everything. I mean,
I get kind of confused because there's 3 of them that I feel like are almost basically the exact same stone, and it kind of confuses me. So I can't.
Yeah, I get that. That's why I'm not positive.
I can't even start talking about that because honestly, I'm gonna totally f that up because I get 3 of them. I feel like are like basically the same stone.
Well,
I know what you're saying though. The whole like her being like, yeah, that's tempting, but still not the biggest thing I want in here.
Yeah, I guess the reason why I was thinking, and I again could be wrong, is because I thought that's the same thing that they use to control Hawkeye or make him,
It is, yeah.
So that's why I was thinking mine, but it could be something else, and who knows? But yeah, either way, you think she'd wanted it.
So what else upset you, David? Talk to us.
I mean,
Just the whole
everything I
film,
mentioned
the
in non-spoilers. I've got nothing really to add in spoilers off the top of my head that, in particular, really irritated me. Most of the stuff that irritated me, I was able to discuss in non-spoilers. I've got not much else to add. The Doctor Strange thing was the big one that I kind of wanted.
I think that was your biggest one.
I mean, the biggest one for spoilers, anyway. I mean, it wasn't like the deal that it wasn't the thing that killed the movie for me. I mean,
well, what was the thing that killed the movie for you?
I mean, there was one in particular thing. It's just overall, I thought it was a mess.
No, it was a hot mess.
So no, there was no like particular moment that was like, oh, that did it. The movie's over now. Like, I mean, especially the beginning of the film, I would say that first, I don't know, 30 minutes of the movie was my least favorite. I think It got better as we went along and got kind of really into the whole thing with Thor and Hulk and the Grandmaster. That got better once we were focusing more on that. But no, I've got nothing in particular with spoilers I can think of to really
I just had it in my head and now it's totally gone. I was going to ask you. Oh, so real quick, because I mean, I hate to be like, you're the music guy, but you're kind of the music guy. So what did you think about all the needle drop that was happening?
I thought it was fine, though. Was there really a ton? It was basically the same song twice.
Yeah, that's kind of all I remember.
I mean,
I felt like there was more than that.
Was there a lot more? I mean, the score was interesting in that it definitely had a kind of electronic, kind of 80s vibe to it. I don't remember who scored this. I'll have to look it up. But
so you're not a fan? We're a fan
of the needle drop.
Well, I guess it's just the music as a whole.
I thought the music was cool. I liked the sound of it. I mean, the score I thought I liked, and sure, the song that was used. Why am I blanking on that song?
Immigrant Song.
Yes, that's used twice in the movie. That's used in the trailer.
Was Led Zeppelin?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought I was fine with it. Like when we first hear it very early in the movie. Yeah. I mean, I went into this movie knowing this was going to be the kind of movie we were getting.
Yeah, we were going to get Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, when that happened, I was not surprised. I was like, okay, cool. I kind of dug it. Like, and I appreciated too at the beginning of the movie that they jumped right into. We're not fucking around with. We're gonna get right into making this obvious that this is a comedy. Like,
yeah.
I mean, we're wasting no time like fucking with you that thinking this is a typical Thor movie. And I kind of appreciated that they just was like set the stage immediately.
Yeah.
That this is the kind of Thor movie it's going to be, which is basically not your typical Thor film. But I don't know. I was fine with the music.
Okay.
So that's all I got.
I wanted to say a couple more things really fast. There were a few, I thought, beautiful shots and scenes in the movie where it was slow motion used to really great effect when you see the Valkyries coming out trying to attack Hela.
I was going to talk about that.
Awesome.
How it's basically like a painting, a mural painting come to life. The few times they did that, a couple of times throughout the film, I loved that.
Which makes sense now because I think we talked about that when we talked about the trailer, and I remember being confused by like, why are these shots in it that look so like paintings? Right. But now, okay, with them being kind of flashbacks, all right, fine.
No, I loved that.
A couple times like that. There was another time I think when they were on Asgard, and I think it was Thor that was coming down, and he was fighting or he did something, and then I think the other time was when Scourge jumped out of the ship and he had his machine guns and he was shooting down at this pile of the undead warriors that were there. Yeah. It just looked pretty awesome too. The other thing I wanted to sort of mention or ask you guys is if you I'm sure you stayed for the end credits, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you understand the first one that they had, the mid-credit ending?
It was basically a setup for Infinity War, wasn't it?
Isn't it like Thanos' ship or something?
Yeah, it's Thanos' ship. Yeah.
Okay. then yeah.
No, I'll fully admit in the moment, no, I did not.
You did?
I looked that up.
Oh, no, I figured that out pretty quick. I mean, it was just...
it just looks like some big-ass ship to me. I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't know what the fuck that is.
I was like, I knew immediately. And honestly, it was kind of annoying because I was like, oh, here we go, set up for infinity. Like, that was literally my gut reaction the moment that happened. I was like, oh, here it is, infinity.
I mean, sure, I figured it was something along those lines, but in particular, did I know what that ship was? No. In the moment, I didn't know literally what that ship was, what it was called, or
I don't know what it's called, but I knew it was Thanos's. So. That's all I knew. And then the last scene was...
It was a little bit with Jeff Goldblum. And
oh, that's right, Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah. Gets out of the thing. And
Mr. Underutilized.
Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, we've gone a little long, so we should probably wrap things up maybe a little bit. Like I said before, sorry that we don't have a I Challenge You, but we'll get to that next week. We've gone on a couple hours, so we'll do that soon.
Hopefully you listen to the whole thing.
Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah, we're going to get out of here. As always, we'd love to hear back from everyone listening. You can let us know what you think by emailing us at feedback@flickereffect.com. You can find us on our various social media accounts. We have links to those on our website over on the right-hand side. I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Michelle Hillard.
Thanks for listening.